You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied. Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless, and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic has succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Welcome to The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Today is Friday, the last day of February, and we have an exciting program for you, as always. And the two main topics today will be visiting corruption in politics in La République du Cameroon, and also talking about preventive health care for 2025. I want to thank all of you joining us today, especially those of you watching from the home front, those of you in neighboring La République du Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, and other African nations, and everyone all over the diaspora. Once more, welcome to The Horizon. I want to give a special shout out to our ASA that are defending homeland, and to remind you that we are here because you are there, and we appreciate all you do to free homeland, because we are on a just cause. It is our time. Without any further ado, I want to welcome our two guests today, bring them on to say hello to our viewers. Dr. Yaya Fournier, the Secretary of State, Chief of Staff of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, and also one of our permanent guests on the Horizon, Dr. Fred Lovade. So let's take this moment and say hello, and we'll proceed with the program. Welcome to the Horizon. The lady can go first. We can't hear you, Dr. Yaya, your volume.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. No, I said she took her place without permission. Greetings, fellow Amazonians. It's a pleasure to be here as usual. And greetings, Mape, Dr. Lubati. It's always an honor to be on the panel with you. And greetings to the home front, to everyone out there. Happy New Year, actually, because I think it's my first time again on the show. It's a joy to be able to share some, whatever knowledge information that we have with you. And we hope you're all keeping well. And 21 God salute to our ASAs, Unakafede. So over to you, Doc.
Okay, we'll start the program with preventive healthcare for 2025. But Doc, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm very pleased to be present with these beautiful ladies. And we hope that today we'll be able to share useful information that our people will be able to understand exactly what's happening on the ground and why they are in the dilemma in which they are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's start with health first, and then we go to politics.
Oh my God. Okay.
I always remind people that my health is my wealth, and I really try to live by that. And I think sometimes they ask you, when you leave this world, what do you want people to remember you of? I think I want people to remember me that I took my health seriously, and I want to pass that to people. I want people to take their health seriously. And so, Dr. Yaya, let's start with you. This is 2025. We'll start in general, and then we'll go and focus on heart health, because this is February is just ending, is the heart health month. So what do you want to educate our people about preventive health for 2025? It's just a general question, because we're going to just talk about everything.
Exactly. I mean, just like the topic says, preventive health means prevention, focusing on the prevention. Of course, we know of the common saying that goes, prevention is better than cure. So if we can even prevent developing or having some illnesses or ailments or diseases, even better. And there are some measures that could be put in place. Having said that, some things would happen, and that's just life, but there's a lot that we can do to prevent or at least slow down the progression of, of an illness. So this is where we want to focus on preventing becoming ill. And of course, like we said, it is, we can't prevent everything, but again, to an extent, there's a lot we can do. So they're just general themes that we all know about. It's about healthy lifestyle. We've talked about that a lot of times, and there's different facets to it, to a healthy lifestyle. First, it even starts with loving yourself. That is one, and then eating right, having a balanced diet. A balanced diet can mean so many things to different people. There's so much information. In fact, there's so much out there, people can get confused. Some will say, but this one said you should eat this one said you shouldn't eat this, and so on and so forth. I think the message generally is about moderation. However, research over the years have shown that eating a more plant-based diet, with a lot of fiber and less red meat, less fat, more vegetables, fiber, and what else have I left out? Drinking less alcohol or avoiding it, even though, you always have exceptions to those things. Some people say, there's some evidence that some red wine, but how much of it anyway could be good for the heart, but that's going into details. So we just want to stick on the big topics, healthy lifestyle. Try to get a balanced diet, meaning on your plate, whatever you eat should have at least, 3 of those main macronutrients, to say carbohydrates, proteins, fats. And when we talk about fats, we're just talking about healthy fats and lots of fibers. So try to have different colors on your plate as much as possible. And now, I know there's so much we can talk about the diet, but we won't for the sake of time. People can just read up on the internet what a healthy or balanced diet looks like, but try to have more vegetables, more fruits, and less carbohydrates and less of the fats. It's not saying that you have to avoid all of this, because the body needs all of these nutrients. And then the second facet to a healthy lifestyle is being active. So exercise.
Doc, before you proceed, since we're talking about nutrition first,
okay,
I just want to find out if Dr. Lobadi has anything to add to this, the one on diet, nutrition.
Okay.
It's very interesting indeed. You know, we are talking to different groups of people. We are living here in a civilized, let me call it civilized Western society, where most of our food is overprocessed. And we're talking to most of our people who are on the ground that do not have access to very processed foods like is eaten here. And the society is changing rapidly as well, so that even what our people used to eat is changing. And then you have some people that are very wealthy and able to afford for very processed food. And you have some of our people who don't have the means to buy processed food because they don't have the money. So they live on what they may consider to be simple. But the interesting thing is that if you go to our society in where we come from, in Cameroon, for example, in Ambazonia, in the former British Southern Cameroon, in our local villages, if you go back and see our mothers, they were eating very good food. What I mean is, those were very simple, not very processed foods, and it was mixed up, though they were not making what you may call a balanced plate. You know, they talk about a balanced plate when you go to a buffet or to a restaurant and you order your food there. But our people were eating fruits at different times of the day. We had all kinds of fruits. We had bananas, pears, mangoes, even Adam fruit, pineapples, pawpaw, all different kinds of fruits that we ate at different times of the day based on what you wanted. In fact, we used to harvest bananas that are very ripe and turning yellow on the stalk, hang it up on the wall of the kitchen, and when you feel like, you grab one and eat. So it was not necessarily put on a plate. And then, of course, our mothers cooked different staples of food. Like those who are from fufu eating areas, you prepare the fufu, which is the base, the carbohydrate base. And then we had vegetables, huckleberries, so many different kinds, which gives you your vegetable with different spices in there as well. And in between, we also had nuts, different kinds of nuts. So what I'm trying to let our people understand is that they already have a lot of this good food that we're talking about. So they may not be able to afford for a complicated, considered as Western type food in a restaurant, but they should not feel that they are disadvantaged. If you live in a rural area and you eat the simple things that our grandmothers used to prepare, you are eating very good food. And then, of course, we'll be going into many other things like physical exercise and activities like that, which again, our people are doing because they don't have means of transportation like vehicles, and even today we have Okadas. They walk on foot long distances, and that is already in itself a certain level of exercise. So I just want us to separate it so that our people who happen to listen to our program and live in a location where they don't have the means to buy most of these things that we're talking about, they should not think that they're disadvantaged. They actually have it more on their side, because some of the very wealthy people who have a lot of money, they think they are enjoying Western food, but they eat over processed food, and then they die of these conditions that we're trying to talk about.
Absolutely. You know, several years back, my daughter, who was very young at that time, reminded me that, Mom, I'm really envious of you. You grew up in Cameroon. Well, this is the time that we're not talking about Southern Cameroon or Amazonia. But she told me, you grew up in Cameroon and you had access to all this natural food, you know, that you were eating, you know, on a daily basis. And we here, we're eating all this hormonal-based chicken, all this food in cans and bottles. So I thought that was so wise of her telling me that at her young age. So those of us, as Dr. Lobadi just said and Dr. Yaya just said, we have access to great food back at home. And just because you have fund money and all the like buying food from bottles and cans, you're doing yourself a disservice. Just go back to the basics. Natural, fresh foods from the farms. That's all we need to be healthy. Doc, do you want to add anything, Dr. Yaya, on this topic so that we'll move to the next health concern? I think we're going to talk about exercise and all that.
I think Doc has really dissected it. I love the fact that he, try to create the subsets of the population that we're talking to is really important. Those in the diaspora and those back home. Yeah. So move on to the next aspect of a healthy lifestyle is physical activity. Or did you have a specific? Okay. So physical activity.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Exactly. So exercise, sometimes it sounds very complex to a lot of people. Again, we want to make sure that the information we share is not just academic, but something that can be put into practice, something that is practical. When people hear of exercise or physical activity, they think, oh, you have to belong, you have to be registered in a gym, which again, expense. You don't have to. I mean, nature has really provided everything for us. There are so many exercises without spending a dime. And this is what, like Dr. Lubati was saying, our forefathers were doing without even being. Their lifestyle was actually the healthy lifestyle, which was, regularly going to the farms, working, being busy, eating healthy foods, what they brew, what they harvested. And of course, it was organic. And they also went early. So that can just be as simple as walking. So get out, take a walk every day, 30 to 45 minutes, like Mape does, come sun, come rain. And if you can't do that, some people say, oh, I already have very bad knees or bad hips that I cannot walk. There are other things that you can do. You can still do stretches. You can do simple things in the house. Even on your bed, you can start just with little movements like this. That is still exercise. Just have a routine. There's a lot of on the internet of what you can do, strength, Pilates, yoga, whatever. And these are simple things that you can actually do from your chair, from your house. And for those, of course, there's, who watch TV, we spend a lot of time sitting, or those who to sit in front of the TV. While doing that, you can still be doing some exercise. For example, I'm sitting here, I can raise my leg, I have okay, you can't see it. I can just raise my leg and be doing like this, say 10 on one leg and the other. And the same with your hand. It must not be long. It must not be tedious. You can be 10 minutes. Just make it a routine that you do some kind of movement. It is important to tone up your muscles because that is what actually keeps your helps to hold your bones, and it especially as we grow older, we lose muscle mass, and balance and movement becomes a problem. These things may not seem evident now, but it is really good to exercise regularly and tone up your muscles because they will do you good in the old age. Doc, you probably have more to add.
Thank you so much. Yeah, again, back to our people on the ground. I remember when we were growing up, we were in Smamankon. That's where we lived and grew up. But we would go back to a rural interior or village to visit our family members, uncles, aunts, grandparents, right through to the palace, which was maybe 6 miles away or more. And from there, we'll go right far into Mundum area, all walking on foot. In those days, we did not have Okada, and taxi was like a luxury limited to the township. Taxis did not go over there. But we didn't mind about that. We would walk, sometimes we would run some of the distance, but most of it walking, even carrying things, which most of our people are doing. But now, as we mature and go to school and get good, what we may consider civilized jobs, we have cars. So we spend a lot of time in our cars and in our offices sitting, and we have to consciously make up our minds to exercise because it renders us lazy. We're no longer having the physical activity, and it's not really as healthy as when we used to walk those long distances. So the exercise we are emphasizing here is for people who are tempted to stay. They think that they have a car, they have a home, and they're watching a TV, and they don't take that time to go out and walk. On the other hand, you have our people who don't have the cars, they don't have the means to even watch a television or stay at home, and they're working on food. They should not feel that they are poor. They're actually very wealthy in that regard. So the longer you walk, the more you walk on the farm, it's healthy for your body. When you go back to the village, you realize that those are our parents that worked hard very early. They got up very early, went to the farms, worked hard, came home late. Many of them live longer, much longer than many of us that today, we drive big cars, luxurious cars, and we don't even have the time to go out and work for just 30 minutes. We're struggling to have 30 minutes of working time. Anyway, these are the few things that I will add there.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you so much. I want to add this though. We are at war back home. Some areas may not be safe for working, so this is a suggestion, and this also applies to those who live in areas where the weather is so bad that they cannot go out to walk. Simple things done in the house, like dancing. I mean, I tell you that I can spend maybe an hour dancing, and that is great exercise. You can just put some good music and dance in your house by yourself, and that is great exercise. So I just want to add that to the list of
stationary bicycles. You can stay on a stationary bike that does not move and run and ride it like you may ride even miles, several miles on it. But it's stationary. It's good for your muscles and joints.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Yaya, to the next.
Great.
Advice.
So we have all those alternatives for those who thought, oh, I have to be in the gym, I have to be part of a club or something. And for those who have the possibility, who have severe arthritis, they are not able to do any of these things for one reason or the other. But again, remember, exercise must not be strenuous. Just those little, you can even have a 1 kilo, or even with your natural weights, actually. Just doing these motions, regularly. You start with 10, and then you do the other side, and then you do repetitions, and slowly you build your stamina. To not do anything because you have joint pain is actually worsening the conditions. Your joints are just going to get stiff and tight. And also those who can afford water therapy or doing exercise in water is also very helpful, particularly for those who may be massively obese or morbidly obese or very, very heavy and they just can't lift themselves. Because of course, when you get in water sort of lifts up, you don't feel your weight. So you can do a few exercises under the water, and that's another option. But it can be as simple as doing it from your bed to dancing in your room, or going for walks, or running, or being in the gym, or going swimming, whatever. Just keep moving, do something. Yes. So the other aspect of health, general health, which we take for granted, is sleep. Particularly those of us in the diaspora. For some of us, we don't have a choice with the kind of work we do. We do shift work, and so your sleep is going to be interrupted. But as much as you have control, try and get as much sleep as possible. Now, how much sleep is good is another topic, but I think you know yourself, generally when you you have slept and you feel rested. And generally from 6 to 8 hours is generally seen as that normal time for healthy sleep. So I know there's the pressure sometimes, especially for those in the diaspora, to work and work and work non-stop because we need money. We want to sustain this grand lifestyle. But mind you, losing sleep, you're going to pay back at some point, especially in old age. It does lead to anxiety and different kinds of, even can be a risk factor for heart diseases and heart what do you call heart rhythm problems. Doc, you help me there. So anyway, Doc, you may want to add something to that.
all of what you said is very good. Like we said, you talked about dancing. Just pick on a few things here. You notice that back at home, our people dance a lot, even in churches, in the community, in different ceremonies. That is all healthy. I want to let our people know that what they are doing there is good. Whether it's a funeral or birth ceremony or marriage ceremony or all activities, the Caucasians, that the Africans always move their bodies, they're dancing. So that's also part of physical activity, which is healthy for them. There's so many different aspects that we can mention, but yes, you can exercise underwater. For those of us who live out here in the West and attempted to eat a lot, get fat, and not be mobile and active, if your joints are hurting, you can find a place where you have swimming pool. Several communities here in the US, they have community swimming pools, even with warm water, hot water. You can exercise there. You don't have the weight on your joints and be as active as possible. It will be healthy for you.
Doc, when you talked about the dancing, I think it reminded me of my child, how we used to run. You know, you go with your neighbors, you run and go, steal cut mangoes, and you come back home and you'll be well beaten because you have dust all over your body. I mean, this was exercise without us really knowing that, we were doing exercise. And for sure, the time when I left home and came to the West, immediately within a month, I put on 10 kilos, and it's just been going up. So that tells you we were already keeping fit without even being conscious. The fact that you didn't have to go to the market, you have to walk a certain distance. Even if you had to pick up a cab, you would at least walk a certain distance before you pick the cab. So if we can try to go back to this as much as we can, the little trips to the grocery shop, if you're not carrying very heavy stuff, just do the walk, just go on foot and not always use your car. Mape, I know you always have something to add.
No, what you just said lastly, in terms of, and this would be for those of us in the diaspora. I mean, back home, not a lot of people have cars, but here in the diaspora, a lot of people have cars, and they like to just hop in their cars and go short distances. You just mentioned something which I practice. If I have to buy a few things, I take my backpack and I walk to the store. I purchase my few things, I put in my backpack and walk back home. So that forces me to do two things at the same time, do my small grocery and exercise. I just wanted to add to that, but move along, my dear.
Okay. All right. So did somebody, Doc, did you say something? Or I'm hearing a voice on the background. Is it me? Okay. So I know one thing that is also not well talked of is the gut health, the health of our gut, which is our intestines, if I can put it that way. It's been coming up lately, even in the modern medicine, as a very, very important aspect of our health. Because really, I mean, you have the skin, which places that first barrier between the external environment and the internal organs, so to say, and the gut is kind of seen as an extension of the skin, but inside. So that's that first point of contact of whatever is coming outside. So that barrier needs to be intact in order to keep off the things that the body doesn't need, or excrete them. So yeah, there are so many thousands and millions of different bacteria that are known to be healthy, and they are part of this, what you call darm flora, is by nature. But because of the so-called modern or Western diet, which is made of highly processed foods and also lots of preservatives and chemicals, we have actually created a disbalance in this darm flora. And we have actually destroyed this barrier, which is like your gate man. It's like your watch night. It's like keeping your gate completely open, and therefore lots of things can get in, lots of parasites or the wrong, bacteria. That defense or that wall, so to say, has been severed, and therefore leading to so many different illnesses. Again, the basic thing about maintaining that gut health is avoiding lots of processed foods, eating lots of vegetables, fiber, And most of our fruits, like Doc mentioned, I actually attended a conference here. I was quite impressed. And the product that they were actually promoting was pawpaw, actually, and the seeds, and most of the different tropical foods that we eat, whatever, without even knowing, mangoes and stuff like that. So sometimes we think, oh, this is a poor lifestyle, but nature already had this thing sorted out. And so as much as we can, I know we're not back home. If we can have these fruits, let's try and make sure that it's really part of our daily diet and avoid all these fast foods like pizzas, McDonald's, and all the rest, if I'm naming some. Okay,
So
going
Doc, I
rounds
just want
again.
to say that we have about maybe about another 5 minutes on this topic, so we can move to the next topic.
Okay. All right. The one thing that I think is very important that we've not been talking about is the mental health. It is absolutely important. Absolutely. Has been, has been neglected or hasn't had the attention that it actually needs. That it is so vital. It's as vital as your heart, And when we talk about mental health, people think it has to be what we call back home a madman, somebody who has full-blown schizophrenia, or somebody who is suffering from severe depression or anxiety. There are so many different mental health issues. Most of them are actually subtle. You can see us here looking very reasonable, very collected, but we may be having a lot, a huge load of mental stuff. And it is nothing to be shy of because it is just a condition, just like the physical ailments that we have. And whether we know it or not, we are all carrying some kind of baggage, whether it is from childhood trauma, from trauma growing up, experiences that we've made in life, separations or dysfunctional situations at work, family, relationships, whatever it is. And even our struggle, it is a mental load, the fact that we know that some of us, we can't even go back home. If our loved ones die, we can't even go back to bury them. That's not an easy thing to deal with. So I just want to say that we are all carrying some kind of load, and it's important to address these things. You don't have to be shy, and we need to actually discuss this with our primary care doctors. Okay, now I'm talking really about diaspora. I know that back home, God help us, we don't even have regular doctors to treat, simple things like malaria, diabetes, talk more about mental health. But this is just something to be aware of. Those of us who are out here, please discuss this with your primary care doctor. And they are just screening test questions that you go through. They'll ask you about your mood, about your sleep, about your weight, whether you've lost weight. There is, you have what you call a depression. I'm going to geriatrics. Anyway, there are some screening tests that your doctor will be able to maybe pick up some signs. And if you also notice that you just don't have, your mood, you're kind of down, and you don't sleep well, you're losing weight, you lack appetite, or anything that you better seek help than try to push it behind, push it down, and just kind of because mental health actually affects our physical bodies, because the mind is powerful. So, Doc, I'm sure you'll have some more.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we can say. We all, first of all, the patient should never feel guilty of their illness. It's not necessarily their fault. Okay, so regardless of whatever the illness is, so even if it is mental illness, the patient should not feel guilty of what they have. We all have challenges in life to have a psychological and psychiatric instability. Like what we are going through in Amazonia is going to call post-traumatic stress disorder. To most of our people who have been forced out of their homes and forced to live in places where it's not their home, with limited resources, separated from their family members, struggling to survive, and even being taken advantage of, like the young women being sexually abused in Yaoundé and Douala and other places, even physically abused, misused without pay, and things like that. It's going to take a toll on them. And they are going to be depressed. They may even act out the depression in ways that look like crime, but it's because of what they have gone through. So it's going to be a while to help our people to come to some level of stability. That's why here in the United States, whenever there's a disaster, it's not just the emergency team that comes to help, but you also have psychologists that come to help the people deal with what they have gone through. So anyway, just wanting to say that we should never feel guilty of what we have. Each one of us is vulnerable to each of those things, including mental, cognitive disorders, and all the rest.
Thank you, Doc. And sorry, Mape, you want to say something?
No, go ahead, please.
Okay. And another one, last but not the least, of course, there are so many things we can talk about, is self-care. And self-care can mean everything. But it's important to take a moment and just look into yourself and ask yourself what this entity is about, what the purpose of this entity is, and whether you're actually living the life that you're meant to live, whatever that may mean. Anyway, that's going a little bit deep. On a physical note, it is important to look after yourself, meaning you take good care of yourself, eat well, sleep well, have some kind of balance, have some kind of recreation that helps you take away the stress of the day-to-day living. That could be dancing, that could be reading a book, that could be going out for walks, that could be catching out, hanging out with friends, could be going out on holidays. It could be as simple as just going into the park. Whatever works for you, but just find something that is going to, tap away that excessive, stress and routine of a monotonous and hard work lifestyle. So for ladies, I have a lot of suggestions. Once in a while, you can go out, you can hang out with your friends and just go out for ladies' night. Could be to do your nails, go in and just have some wellness weekend out, or I can see Doc shaking his head. Let's see what we have for men. You can also have a men's night out, the boys' night, look, that can mean so much, but please take care of yourselves, even if it means just once in a while going out and just investing in yourself and say, I want to get a good massage for myself. Why not? I want to have a good facial. I want to, it must not be terribly expensive, but that gives you a sense of, self-reward, which we all need, because the tendency is just to be in the matrix of running in a system that just takes you to nowhere. But you have to stop and say, what does my body really need? And if it's rest, if it's just to take a weekend off and shut out and just don't pick any calls and just rest, that's also fine. So, but let's take time and look after ourselves and not only just work or look after others. That particularly goes for women, because women being mothers and community builders, we have the tendency to always take care of others, which is natural, and tend to neglect ourselves, unfortunately. Doc, you want to talk something?
Lord help. Lord help. The topic is very deep. It goes into a lot of different things. At every age, from childhood right through to whether you live to be 116 or what, people need to live in a state where they are balanced, emotionally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually as well. Where you feel like you are satisfied and happy with your existence at your age, whatever age you have. It includes so many different things. Even going into your sexual life, you should feel like you're fulfilled in that area as well. And that you feel loved by your community, so that even in old age, in your 90s, you want to feel like your family loves you, or you love the people you feel you love. It's just too many different things. But what I mean is there's a balance between of physical, emotional, and spiritual livelihood. All of that you should feel like you are fulfilled in all of those areas. I don't know. I hope I didn't go too far.
Yeah, no. That's great. No, it's quite interesting, and I'm sure some people will be laughing hearing of the sexual part. Of course, it is part of our well-being. I just googled something. Googled something on self-care. It says there are eight types of self-care. One is physical. And that includes nutrition, exercise, sleep, which we've talked about. 2 is mental, which includes mindfulness, self-talk, and therapy. So seek help. Number 3 is emotional, which includes gratitude, gratitude, triggers, and journal. Not too sure what that means. Journal, maybe keeping a journal of how you feel, something like that. Yeah. And then spiritual, Doc, like you mentioned, meditate, get in touch with nature, be in sync with nature. You may want to do yoga, Pilates, whatever, any of the martial arts that you think, or just your faith, And then intellectual, read, learn, have hobbies. Environmental, be clean and make your environment safe. Interesting one. Social, connect with people. Make sure you define boundaries as well. I like that, boundaries, yes. And then financial, make sure you have a safety net, a budget, and save for emergency times. That was just, I just thought, oh, let me Google and see what self-care talks about. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're going to be ending this topic and move on to the next topic. And I am not sure if we mentioned a few other things that I can just list. I don't know if we talked about drinking plenty of water. Drink at least 8 cups of water a day. Also, stop smoking and avoid drinking excessive alcohol. I know you mentioned alcohol. No smoking and drugs, because that is what is really prevalent in our hometown now. A lot of young people are into drugs. That is something that will definitely shorten your lifespan and make you a little bit make you ill. I guess we'll be ending the program right now. As far as this topic is concerned, we'll move to the next subject, which has to do with corruption in politics, particularly the case of La République du Cameroon. And we bring these topics here because we're trying to show what it is now, what is going on in La République du Cameroon, for people to understand that we are trying to build a nation, Ambazonia, where we will know about all these ills in government and make sure that we don't carry those bad habits over to Southern Cameroon, so we have full control of our territory. And we are hoping that those who are in government office positions, like the senators, the ministers, the parliamentarians, directors, all of those in big offices, if we want to use that expression, in high offices, should pay attention and ask themselves the question that what will be their legacy when they leave office if they are part of this practice of corruption in politics. But without further ado, I wanted to find out if we can introduce the topic with a short 3-minute video on this topic. And after that introduction, we'll have some questions for both of you, starting with Dr. Lobadi. So there's a 3-minute video that tells us a little bit about corruption in politics.
Political corruption serves one, not all. It subverts the very purpose of government and creates distrust of elected officials. Corrupt politicians manipulate the economy, unfairly reward those loyal to them, and punish those who stand in their way. Hi, I'm Rich Burnett for Wondrium, and in this episode of Perspectives, 4 historians discuss political corruption in the modern world, and they explain how 2 former corrupt presidents got punished for their deeds. We begin now with a look at 2 basic types of corruption: bribery and gratuities.
The quintessential public corruption offense is bribery. Bribery is generally defined as a public official agreeing to accept something of personal value in exchange for the performance of some official act or exercise of official discretion. A bribery presents a fundamental threat to the proper functioning of our political system. The bribed public official has a conflict of interest. He or she is supposed to act for the good of all, but instead is acting for some private benefit. And this is contrary to the very nature of a representative democracy and corrupts our political institutions. Title 18, Section 201 of the U.S. Code contains two distinct but related crimes: bribery and gratuities. To prove bribery, prosecutors must prove the following: a federal public official corruptly demands, seeks, receives, or accepts, or agrees to receive or accept anything of value in exchange for being influenced in the performance of an official act, or being induced to do or omit to do an act in violation of his or her official duty, or being influenced to commit or aid in committing any fraud against the United States. Bribery is punishable by up to 15 years in prison, along with substantial fines and disqualification from holding any office of honor, trust, or profit in the United States. To prove an illegal gratuity, prosecutors must prove a federal public official knowingly demands, seeks, receives, or accepts, or agrees to receive or accept anything of value for or because of any official act performed or to be performed by the public official. An illegal gratuity is a relatively minor felony as federal felonies go. It's punishable by only up to 2 years in prison. Now, the statute also prohibits the flip side of both offenses just described. It's illegal to pay a bribe or gratuity as well as to receive it.
Gilded Age Americans were greatly troubled by abundant evidence that big business was corrupting American democracy. Some of the most infamous political corruption scandals took place in this era.
Thank you so much for that brief clip, and we hope that we can safely move to the next topic now. And I'm going to have Dr. Lobadi be the main guest on this topic, and Dr. Yaya, feel free to comment whenever you want to. So this brief clip that we saw, Dr. Lobadi, starting with you. Do you want to have any comments on it before I go to my main questions on this topic?
Yeah, I'll be very happy to hear Dr. Yaya's comments on all the topics that we'll be talking today. Basically, I like the fact that you presented this video because it affects, for example, the United States that everybody looks up to as the ideal nation. And we realize that corruption affects politicians all over the world, not only politicians, but all countries. Here in the US, they call it lobbying. They have some fanciful names. They call it lobbying. That means you go and give something to a governmental official to influence the way that he's going to carry out his duty in your favor and not what he's supposed to do. So they call it lobbying. But we also know it with us as bribery and corruption. They have different names that they use, like actually you scratch my back, I scratch your back, you know, those kinds of things. But basically what they were saying here is that instead of doing something for the benefit of all, you are influenced by what was given to you or what you asked for to do something for the benefit of one or a few to the disadvantage of the majority or the population. And that is what we're talking about here.
Thank you so much. Dr. Yaya, any comment on that brief clip?
I must admit, I didn't really follow till the end. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. So moving along, I want to ask this question. After I ask this question, we're going to play another video, which is a little bit longer. That is more directed at what is happening in La République du Cameroon. But I want to ask this question of you, Dr. Lobadi. What are the different forms of corruption in politics? I know we had something in the video, but I think, yeah.
We had some briefly in that video. You have taking money, for example, or a gift. That's the bribery, and then the gratuities, like something free. We hear here in the US, for example, how some rich people take Supreme Court justices on a free ride for vacation, or even purchase the home for their mothers, for their family members. I'm just focusing here on the US. But anyway, there are so many ways that manifests itself. but also it goes even to the point where you kill the individuals that you don't want to see in politics. So the individuals that you don't like them to be present or active, you try to kill them in so many different ways. So taking money, exchanging gifts, even killing your enemies, and so many different things that we can mention. I'll just leave it with those three for now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So there is a video which is a little bit long. I think it's probably about 10 minutes or so, but it's very, very pertinent on our topic of today. It is a video made by, I think it was a commentary by Albert Zongang about what is happening in La République du Cameroon. I mean, Albert Zongang, yes. So I would like for us to listen to that video, and then we can really delve into this topic. Unfortunately, it's in a foreign language, and Dr. Lobadi understands the foreign language very well. I do a little bit. I think Dr. Yaya understands it too a little bit, but it's very important. So we want to listen to that now, and then we can continue on this subject. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Alors, vous étiez en 92, avant la pub, hein, ça coule sur la question. En 92, vous êtes au RDPC.
Oui.
Dites-nous la vérité aujourd'hui. Qui avait gagné l'élection de 92?
Frundi. Et qui a triché, nous.
Parmi lesquels vous?
Oui.
Vous-même?
Moi, je crois que j'étais même l'instigateur. Vous savez la question qui s'est posée?
Laquelle?
On a constaté que Biya avait perdu. Et il s'est posé un véritable dilemme. Nous étions... Je peux citer les morts, mais j'ai peur que les vivants craignent. Nous étions au centre, Fauchivé, à Kamifou, à Madouali, Zemeka, Papa Achou, Achidi Achou,
oui.
Achidi Achou. Et j'avais dans mon équipe Zéro Mort et Henri Bandelot pour la communication. On a constaté que Biya avait perdu. Et je vous assure...
Dans tout le Cameroun ou seulement à l'ouest ou ailleurs? Au nord-ouest.
Il avait perdu partout. Il avait perdu partout.
Sur le plan général?
Sur le plan général. Dans tout cas, Frundi avait gagné. Alors il s'est posé un véritable problème. Et c'était là où la conscience de chacun était appelée. Est-ce qu'on va laisser Frundi gouverner ce pays? Première question à tout le monde. Non. On ne peut pas laisser Frundi. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On change au profit de Bouba Bello, d'Adamou Damjoya ou de Kindi. Parce que les trois sont potables. On accepte. Mais lui, non. Moi, en tant que fils du péciste, j'étais le numéro 1 non. Pourquoi? J'ai vécu dans ma tendre enfance comment on a massacré les jeunes soldats dans l'UPC. Les chefs avaient des astuces. Ils prenaient les cartouches de chevrotine, ils ouvraient et ils enlevaient les plombs. Il ne restait dedans que la poudre. Et ils chargeaient dans le fusil. Et ils faisaient des simagrées et ils disaient à Ogar, tirez sur moi. Et on tirait, boum. Il dit, vous voyez, rien ne se passe. Et il donnait ce truc aux gens que fumez. Dès que vous voyez les militaires, n'ayez pas peur. Le gars allait et on les faisait tomber comme des mouches. Quand quelqu'un arrive dans un pays en détresse et vous dit comme seul programme qu'il est magicien, Demchoutam, Akasham, Demchoutam, Akasham, il dit que il est invulnérable. Et sa popularité a commencé à l'Ouest parce que l'Ouest a dit Biala est tellement fort qu'il n'y a qu'un sorcier pour le renverser. Voilà. Tout le monde dit le sorcier, c'est Frundi. Or, j'avais déjà dans mon intervention, pour le décrire, dire que le Cameroun n'est pas un laboratoire où chaque apprenti sorcier va venir tenter ses expériences. Donc, il était question de faire que ce soit quelqu'un d'autre qui gagne. Mais on a expérimenté quelque chose. On est allé voir les 3 que je viens de citer. Et on a dit à chacun que Frundi vient de gagner. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Ils ont dit non. On ne peut pas jeter le pays dans l'eau. Ça serait grave. Et je vous dirais que ce que vous avez découvert au soir de sa vie a commencé dès ce moment-là. L'achat de conscience. Donc les autres, tous, ils sont vivants. Non, il y a Adamou qui est mort. On dit que non. Vraiment, donnez à bien. Donnez à bien. Donc si ce soir-là...
Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui vous n'avez pas peur de faire des révélations comme celle-là?
Non, j'ai pas peur parce que ça veut dire que...
Parce que là vous avez trahi en 92.
Non, je ne trahis pas. L'histoire s'écrit. Il faudra un jour qu'on écrive. Parce que les gars racontent des histoires. On n'a jamais... C'était même un secret de polichinelle. Tout le monde sait qu'on avait perdu. Tout le monde sait également que l'opposition a gagné les législatives dans la même année 92 et qu'ils ont vendu. Donc ce n'est pas tout ça là. Il faut comprendre quand vous parliez de l'opposition, quand un enfant attrape une panthère, il croit que c'est un chat, il peut le laisser partir. Moi j'étais au RDPC quand l'opposition a gagné l'Assemblée nationale. Mais à notre grande surprise, chacun d'eux venait la nuit pour négocier avec nous. Donc on s'est aperçu que ils ne sont même pas conscients qu'ils ont pris le pays. On a négocié.
Ah, d'accord. Albert Zonga ce matin, c'est vraiment chaud, Marie-Flora Massana.
Très chaud avec des déclarations également. Même si moi j'aurais souhaité lui poser la question, il avait déjà commencé à le dire, parlant des élections de 92. À quel moment est-ce que ça a basculé?
À l'Assemblée nationale.
À l'Assemblée nationale notamment.
Ça bascule à l'Assemblée nationale pendant que nous étions en train de voir comment faire. Est-ce qu'on fait le coup d'État? Est-ce qu'on dissout l'Assemblée tout de suite? Comment on va faire? Parce que si ces gars se réunissent, ils votent leur président de l'Assemblée, ils votent des lois, ils vont nous renverser. Qui tient l'Assemblée? Tient l'État.
Le pouvoir, oui.
Donc, les ténors, chacun venait se battre pour être Premier ministre, pour être ceci. Et
continuez.
Et tout de suite.
Oui, honorable.
Et je fais signe parce qu'il y a un peu de bruit à côté, qu'on a des travaux. Oui.
Et tout de suite, nous on a pensé à 2 choses. On a dit qu'il faut débaucher. On a donc envoyé M. Tchouta, qui tenait le port, c'est-à-dire il y avait
l'agent
du répondant.
Le gombo.
On a dit, va voir les députés de l'Ouest, essaye de les acheter. Il est allé acheter les députés UNDP de Bamboutos, en donnant à chacun ce qu'il aurait pu gagner pendant 5 ans.
C'est-à-dire combien?
À l'époque, le député gagnait 500 000. Nous, c'était même pas trop riche comme maintenant.
Donc, il a donné 25 millions à chacun.
Non, 500 000, ça fait quoi? Ça fait 6 millions par an.
Ça fait 6 millions par an.
30 millions.
30 millions.
Oui.
Donc, chacun a eu 30 millions.
Chacun a eu 30 millions. Ça ne s'arrête pas là. Ils sont venus démissionner. Et c'est là où, quand j'ai rendu hommage au professeur Oona Joseph, j'ai relevé ce qui s'est passé. Mais le RDPC était tellement idiote qu'il ne s'était pas aperçu que dans la loi, dans l'ancienne loi, on disait que si tu démissionnes, ton suppléant prend ta place.
Oui.
Donc on avait donné 30 millions à chacun et peut-être 5 millions aux suppléants. Bouba Bello a convoqué tous les suppléants pour dire, mais vous faites quoi là? Vous avez eu de l'argent que vous avez gagné. Ils sont tous venus siéger à l'Assemblée. Donc on a fait un coup d'épée dans l'eau. Donc on a perdu l'argent et tout.
Ah donc ça vous arrive aussi?
Bon, on se retrouve au point de départ. Ils sont 91 et nous on est 88 ou quelque chose comme 92 et on est 88. Pendant ce temps, Kodok et son ami montent les enchères. Et il nous est c'est Fauchevé qui dit, mais dans tout ça, Dakoulé est où? parce que Dakoulé m'avait appelé, c'est quelqu'un que j'ai connu quand il était à Sotuk, on était très amis. Il m'a appelé, il dit Zonga, va dire à Bia, quand tu vas manger avec lui, qu'au nord, il n'y a pas que des moutons. Il y a quelques boucs. Et j'en fais partie. C'est-à-dire, il était... Il voulait en découdre avec tout ce qu'il a souffert en prison. Quand on a enregistré les autres en train de négocier, on m'a donné. Je suis allé lui faire écouter. Il dit quoi? Ah bon? Ça sur mon dos? J'ai 6 députés. On dit apporte. Il nous a donc apporté ces 6 députés. On avait déjà la majorité. Les autres ont donc rejoint les rangs, ont occupé des postes. Et le pouvoir a décidé de les ridiculiser. On a dit à Kodok, on va te donner des députés, des postes de ministre. Mais tu ne vas y nommer que les bassards. Écoutez bien. Il a pris un certain Niamey, ministre de Travail. Il a pris Massoua de Bernard. Au sport, tout ça. Donc on voulait le rendre ridicule. Et c'est ça le pouvoir. Comment il vous donne sans vous donner? Parce que quand vous parlez de l'union, là, il faut savoir que dans l'union, tout peut se faire, tout peut se passer. Vous avez des gens qui crient fort juste pour attirer l'attention sur eux, parce qu'ils ont une vision qui n'est pas la vôtre. Voilà comment l'opposition, on venait de voler le vote de Frundi. Mais le peuple s'est...
Mais est-ce qu'il était possible de voler un vote, puisque la Cour suprême avait déclaré le président Biya vainqueur sur la barre des procès?
Non, écoutez, quand vous êtes dans un pays où c'est moi qui nomme le président de la Cour suprême, il sait que j'ai le droit de vie, de mort sur lui. Vous attendez quoi de lui? Quand à Tangana, on lui dit qu'apporter les PV, il dit irrecevable. Quand on vous dit d'apporter la preuve de quelque chose, quand vous dites irrecevable, ça veut dire que vous utilisez la force et non le droit. Or, chaque fois que vous êtes au pouvoir et que vous pensez que la police n'est pas une police pour défendre les libertés et les biens des populations, c'est une police pour défendre votre pouvoir, vous voulez que le pauvre peuple fasse quoi?
Mais justement, la question c'est que pourquoi John Fondi, si tant est que, comme vous le dites, on sait qu'officiellement Paul Biya a gagné en 92. Pourquoi John Fondi n'a pas revendiqué sa victoire?
Parce que il a tenté et j'ai expérimenté quelque chose. J'ai vu la solidarité quand j'étais pendant cette période-là. Vous savez, chez nous, je dis chez nous en te regardant, à Bouddha même, chez toi et moi, on dit que quoi? Si ce n'est pas moi, on jette dans l'eau. Chez les autres là, les boulous là, on dit à Sikime, à Nemonyawa, que si c'est pas moi, on donne à mon frère. Donc, nous nous sommes retrouvés ce jour-là avec le principe à Sikime, à Nemonyawa, par Achidi Achou. Quand on change le vote, et Frunji s'agite, Achidi Achou, paix à son âme, dans notre comité déclare ceci, avec Nahangri, mais des guis smochop, avec Nahangri. Et on est allé lui donner le smochop.
Combien?
Non, laisse ça. Le montant, ça importe peu.
Il a pris.
Ce sont vos mémoires.
L'essentiel, c'est qu'il a pris.
Il a pris.
Wow. Well, you know, this is really, I'm going to have Dr. Lobadi give us a brief summary of what this video is about for those of us that do not fully understand this foreign language, because I think some of our viewers want to know exactly what they were saying. But it's a shame that, well, it's good that we are learning what happened in 1992 when Frunzi really won the presidency, and what transpired after that, and he was not really the president of La Republic du Cameroon. Dr. Lobadi, just give us a brief summary of what this video is talking about.
So basically, this Albert Nzonga, I think he's from Bunda area, he's a Bamileke. He's describing how the system corrupted political change in Cameroon in 1990, 1991, and 1992 when Frundi won the presidential elections. So he's saying, you remember, Frundi emerged in 1990 when he formed the SDF. People were all behind him. We were all active. I remember I participated in the launching and the marching and went through to Liberty Square all the way to T Junction. But in 1991, when they went for the legislative elections, Frundi boycotted because he was afraid that the government was going to use the military and kill a lot of people. So only hardcore CPDM members voted in the Northwest region, and remember the whole Northwest went to CPDM. But in spite of that, in all of Cameroon, the CPDM lost the legislative elections. The UNDP won massively in the Western region and other parts of Cameroon. And Biya had a minority and could not control the parliament, but what was to obtain majority. So they went to the north, Dakole Daisala, they bribed him to take his own party to join the CPDM, and then they also bribed the UPC to join the CPDM to give them parliamentary majority and gave some ministerial positions to Dakole Daisala as well as to Kodok, and they ridiculed them by making sure that they only vote, they put in place those ministers that the government wants them to have from their region and insignificant positions. Anyway, so that was in the parliamentary election of 1991. Then when they went to the presidential election of 1992, this time Frundi participated. And what he is saying there is that Frundi won the elections all over the national territory and Biya lost. But they agreed among themselves as Francophones that they will never allow Frundi to rule. So he's describing the people who participated in that discussion. He talked about Fauchivet. Remember, there's the Secret Service officer that participated in killing people since the time of La République du Cameroon. He talked about Amadou Ali. He talked about Akamen Fumu, who is from Biya's region. And then he says he's only mentioning the dead. He did not want to mention those who are living because he did not want to ridicule them. So he named them, the Zemeka, the one who was in charge of the army, and they all agreed. And his own camp, you had himself, Zeromo, who was Concho Kumeni, and Henry Bandolo, who is now dead. He said they all agreed as one man, and these are all Francophones, that they will never allow Frundi rule. So they decided to approach the opposition members who did not win the election. That they would rather accept Bello Buba, who was from the north, or Adamu Damjoya, who was from the western region, or Ekindi, who was from Littoral, than Frundi. So they approached these three and said they will not allow Frundi, but is any of them interested in the positions? And they agreed that they will never allow Frundi, they will not put the country in trouble, but let them just give the thing back to Biya. That's what they agreed on. So now they gathered down to see how they were going to do this. So they were asking him, so did Frundi not revindicate or try to fight for his victory? They said that's when he discovered the importance of being one, fight as one man. So the Francophones all stood as one man, while Frundi attempted to revindicate his victory, and we know how he was talking to BBC. He said Achide Acho was now the instrument that they used to ridicule or break down Frundi. So Achide Acho was working with them, and again, remember, it's for money. So as Achide Acho was working with them, Achide Acho, remember, he was prime minister. He was prime minister because when the whole Northwest gave 100% to the CPD, that they lost that the parliamentary election in '91, they decided to replace the Northern prime minister with Achide Acho as some kind of compensation for the Northwest. And Achide Acho was a member of parliament. They elevated him to prime ministerial position. So Achide Acho told them in this their gathering that Abek, they're hungry. They can give small chop to Frundi. Right. And so he said they went and gave that small chop to Frundi in 1992. And the important thing is that Frundi took the money. Now, if you go back where we were, when Frundi was encircled by the military, people were coming. Did we know that Frundi was given a bribe? Did we even know that Frundi had taken the bribe? Now, we do know that before Frundi launched the SDF in 1990, they had sent ministers from Yaoundé to come and bribe him with 3 billion francs. Frundi refused to take the money and went ahead and launched the SDF. But now, subsequently, they sent some French whites to come and rent Frundi's house opposite the market. We're paying heavy sums of money, and that's another way that they were still getting to Frundi. And now he's describing how even though Frundi won the presidential election, they bribed again and stole that election. And so he's describing how the machinery works. in La République du Cameroon. You see the bribery and corruption and how they literally direct everything that's going. They said that the election was pronounced by the president of the Supreme Court. And he says that the president of the Supreme Court knows that his life is dependent on the one who appoints him. So Biya appointed him, and Biya can kill him. Therefore, he can only pronounce what he please Biya, who put him in there. So that's a small brief summary of what I got from that.
That is such a shame. Before I ask the next question, I just want to give this general information about what is called corruption perception index, because the international community has a way of categorizing how countries are labeled as corrupt. There's a score from 1 to 100, and then there's a rank to there are 180 countries involved. So the score from 1 to 100, 2024, Cameroon ranked 26, where the lower the score, the more corrupt you are. They ranked 26 out of 100 in this corruption perception index. And they ranked, the score was 26 out of 100, and they ranked 140 out of 180. So where 1 is the least corrupt nation, Cameroon is 140. So that tells you exactly where this country is in as far as corruption is concerned. Very, very terrible. Doc, I'm going to ask a question directly based on this topic. You already mentioned some examples of bribery that we listened to from this video. Do you have any other examples of bribery and corruption in La République du Cameroon, separate from what we just heard here?
Let's hear what Dr. Yaya says first. Dr. Yaya, do you have anything to say about what you heard?
I really don't have much to add. I'm just, it's just giving me a shocking feeling, yeah. What do we really have to add? That, we use our own to break our own, and who knows whether that might have been an opportunity. But yeah, it is what it is. Sad enough. Sad enough.
Correct. So basically, we have always known that individuals were bribed, or thought that individuals were bribed, but we never knew how it all transpired practically. And in this case, he is describing in detail how it transpired and how he was the prime mover of it on behalf of the CPDM and Activini. So if you go back since 1961, we know, for example, that Muna was imposed on us as prime minister and in replacement of Joa, who by electoral parliamentary process was supposed to be the prime minister. So you realize that Muna got something. So he was bribed. But I want to bring us, like you were asking, other methods that they use for corruption. In 1975, when Ahidjo wanted to stand again for president of Cameroon, the experiment of putting the English and the French speaking together of Cameroon, and they were advancing his candidature, and it was a unanimous agreement that he would be the candidate. Joa challenged him in Bafoussam and said, "Why must you always be the president? I am also ready to be the president of Cameroon." And what we know is that Ahidjo Joa was subsequently killed. So one other method that I had mentioned earlier that they use, besides bribing with money, like they bribed Muna and giving Achidachu money, and in this case they went and bribed Frundi, they also go and kill people that truly stand their ground and will not take any bribe, like Joa in this case. So those are so many different ways, and you heard them. They bribe you with positions, ministerial positions, and even when they give you a position, they limit your actions. They tell you what you have to do within their guidelines to toe the line to accomplish their goals.
Well, I think people are listening and they know all of this. They know all of this, and we're trying to educate people for them to really come out with that belief that for there to be change, we must have our Ambazonia and really follow due processes where people have positions based on merit, based on their education. And if you win something where democracy has made you won a position, then that position is yours, regardless of where you come from. So, Doc, I'm going to ask another question because we're running out of time. There's supposed to be a town hall, APP meeting in a few minutes from now. So I want to ask a few more questions as we round up the program today. I just lost my question. Here we go.
Okay, just
Yes,
to add
go
something,
ahead.
I mean, I don't know much about the intrigues of the Cameroon politics, but I know, of course, that it's a very corrupt system. I guess one of the ways that they used to, we're talking about bribing politicians, not the population. But again, like we see in elections, envelopes are being exchanged and people come to marketplaces, public ground, instead of explaining what policies they have in mind, what they plan to do to bring change, they're rather giving them envelopes with 5,000 or 1,000 in there. So that's their method of operating. And with the politicians, maybe sometimes they promise them a project. I mean, this Muna generation or whatever, I'm not sure, but I heard that the best thing he did for his people was to build a prison. So my question, therefore, did he build this prison from the bribe that he was given, or is it La Republique who asked him, what do you think we can do best for your people? And he said, as a project that they will be happy, and he probably proposed a prison and not a school, not a hospital, not a road. So, it just came to mind. Is that one of the ways? Was that another way of squeezing his hand? Doc, you probably know more.
It's very interesting. Anyway, in 1975,
Oh, sorry,
you
before I forget. Doc, I'm so sorry. And another way, I hate to say this because I'm kind of, I know the kids, anyway, it doesn't matter. Like one of the ways they could be bribed. I remember when Frundi's wife, Maros, died, La Republique actually was very involved in her funeral. Was that not clear enough? Or are they saying he was a former statesman? He was never really a statesman because he wasn't given the opportunity. But the way they took over, there was a lot of suspicion, and of course, from inner circles of the family. Let me just say inner circles. Right?
Exactly. So that's why Zongang was saying that what we saw of Frundi Zongang was saying that what we saw of Frundi in the latter part of his life before he died had started when he took the bribe. His content had been bought. That's why La Republique knew that he was their man. They allowed him to build a compound in Yaoundé, to be holding meetings and calling him chairman. He was free to move all over the territory without a threat of the army. And then later on, he started dancing but with Yaoundé, and even one of his children got married to Gregoire Owana. So they know that Frundi had already been bought. He was already in the back. Right there in 1992. Yeah, you can ask the question.
Thank you so much. So this question is more focusing on Ambazonia. I mean, you've already answered bits and bits, but I really want you to hone in so that those who are listening to see how this relates to Ambazonia. How has bribery and corruption been used to betray the Ambazonian cause for independence?
Basically, you realize that the children of Ambazonia the land of Ambazonia contributes more than 60% of the GDP of that country. There's a lot of resources in our land. And so they have used this method to keep up in subjugation in order to extract our resources, and which is done by the French. And actually, the French have honed these skills since their time in Indochina. If you go and read history, the French were in Indochina, what is called Vietnam. And after the Second World War, when they were trying to give independence on the compulsion of the United States and Russia, the French were reluctant to give independence to Vietnam. And the Russians were supporting the North, those who became the communists and the Chinese. But the people of the South wanted to be independent, and the French were giving bribes to individuals to torture the individuals, their citizens, so that they would not want to be independent, thinking that those who are advocating for independence are rather their enemies. They failed and lost Vietnam. America had to go in there to rescue them, and since then America has had a scar on its conscience since Vietnam. They went to Algeria, did the same thing, went to Ivory Coast, and they came to Cameroon. And what happened is that in the Maquisard Wars, the French again gave money to local indigents to fight against their leaders, the ones who are fighting for independence, to break them up so that they will remain under French subjugation. And then they even pitted the Bassas against the Bamilekes by telling the Bassas that the Bamilekes were coming to get their land. This is what they have implemented in Ambazonia. So what they did was they broke us up into the southern province and the northwest province, the southwest and northwest, making us feel that we are different. We're not one as when we separated and joined them. and that we are different kinds of people, then among us, they keep bribing individuals to break us into smaller and smaller pieces so that they can control us. Even to the point where right now in our revolution since 2016, when people were standing together as one, if you remember all our revolutionary fighters, when they were meeting in New York and other places, we were talking as one, but they came and chipped us off and bought individuals to be working with La Republique. Even to the point where right now the hardcore government that has not been able to be compromised, they're still reaching out among us to chip us individuals to keep causing us headaches. This is what they have done, and is continued to keep us in subjugation so that they continue extracting our resources.
Any comment on that, Dr. Yaya?
Yeah, I think it goes as far as the infiltration that we're seeing. Doc has explained the divide and rule and the consequences of it. Indirectly or direct infiltration is another way to weaken the system. And we hear and we probably know that envelopes exchanged hands, and we saw the effects, how it slowed down our or the hit that it had on our struggle. But yeah, we picked up again, and we're still facing some few challenges. So I think that it has so many facets. It's like a hydra. There's no one way. It can be overt money envelopes. It can be, a clear demand that bring this transaction like we see Trump and Zelensky having. I'm sorry if I have to mention that. Or it could be indirectly that some people are just made to feel that they are the superheroes or Superman, Superwoman, and without you, this struggle is not going to work, and they start to act out or act anti-revolutionary, bringing down the struggle, whether they know, of course, they're conscious. They're not kids. So yeah, we see this unfortunately still filter till day. And I can only just say, calling everybody to their consciences. This is not politics. We are in a full-blown war where people are being killed, and people should really take time out and think about what they do. All those explosive or exploded personalities, grandiose, narcissistic personalities who think that without them, this struggle is not going to go ahead. Please think about the kids that are dying. Think about the lives that are being lost. Blood is being spilled. This is not just politics of who controls, the parliament like in 1992, even though people were killed. We are talking about continuous killing, displacement of people. If you mothers, you fathers, you adults that have children, or even if you don't have children, have mercy. Think about the kids that are dying every day, the families that are being distorted and broken down. Leave your pride. When we get to Amazonia, please, you can create 10,000 parties and you be your grandiose God-made or God-ordained superhero, and you can have your party. You can create your TV. You can create your whatever. Please don't create things and give the name state, because the state, there's only one Amazonian, Federal Republic of Amazonia. So the people can do their private stuff. Give it a name. Give it a name to your private institution. I'm sorry I'm diverting, but to me, this is a clear sequelae of what we're talking about. It started 60 years ago, and we're still seeing it in forms. The infiltration is the result of that, and please stop doing this, because the price of your action is further deaths and misery to our people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yaya. So we're talking about corruption in politics in La Republique and what we as Ambazonians should learn from that. And Dr. Yaya, you've said a few things that I should comment about in terms of what is currently happening in Southern Cameroon, in the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroon, our government. But I want to say this with just a caution that we have heard of allegations that it's alleged that quite a few people have received money from La Republique to Cameroon. We go back, if we look at the leadership of our struggle, going back to Sissoko Ayuktabe, going back to what's the other, Akwanga, Bo Herbert, Kometa, all those people, I'm just giving some names. So let's think about all those people that have held relevant positions in this journey to Buea. There are allegations that some of them have been corrupted. We're talking about corruption in politics in case of La Republic of Cameroon, and we're bringing it back home to Ambazonia. There are allegations that some of these individuals, Chris Anlo, I forgot that name, who calls himself comrade in one sentence and the other sentence president. And there are many more names that I may have forgotten. Some activists, Barata, Tabang Aibo, all those people. There are allegations that along the way, some of them may have been corrupted, either with really physical cash or promise something here and there. Again, I'm using the word allegation so somebody doesn't come and tell me that I said that somebody had gotten money. There are allegations of all these things. But it is La Republique's playbook to divide and conquer. So Dr. Yaya just mentioned, and I'm thinking that let's think about our strength in 2018, 2017, 2018, when the teachers and lawyers went on the strike. When in 2017, there were masses of people all over Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia on the streets denouncing the occupation of our territory by La Republique du Cameroon, saying enough is enough. Where is that spirit today? Where is that spirit today? Is it just gone because we do not believe that we deserve our land? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of ambiguity because of all these other people that were leaders that are no longer leading, that are either just sitting to the wayside or spoiling things. And there are some currently in our government also that we don't know exactly where they belong, and we don't know exactly where they stand with the president. This is a common phrase we hear every now and then. Our people are dying. Yes, our people are dying. So what are you going to do about it? What is your own part? Last week, we talked about, with Dr. Willie Lobadi and myself, we talked about introspection, where you look within yourself and say, what exactly am I doing for this journey? Am I doing anything that takes it forward, or am I doing something that takes it backwards? I think that's the question that everybody has to ask themselves. And then if they can go to sleep at night, and if they know that God is watching them and they are doing the right thing, then they'll sleep peacefully. But Dr. Lobadi, I'm going to ask my last question because we have to be end the program soon. I want to ask if my phone can open up again. What should we do with this current challenge of corruption in politics, and particularly Southern Cameroonian's case, Ambazonia's case?
Okay, before I give my own opinion about that, I want to draw attention that Nzongan who was speaking right there. He is one of those people that was locked up with Kamto in jail, and they went to Konigi where they met our Nera 10. And then they ate with Ayuk Tabe, and he came out and said that they have been eating breakfast with Ayuk Tabe and that people should not worry. Ambazonia will not be free because they have come to an agreement with Ayuk Tabe. So if you know what he described that they did to Frondi, you can only imagine what he and Ayuk Tabe discussed in Konigi. I just want to draw people's attention to that. But the other thing that I would like to say, yes, corruption is worldwide. And in La Republique du Cameroon is even the worst, as we know it. And it's almost like our people have lost. But no, our people have not lost. I want to assure our people that we will emerge victorious. And those people that are taking bribes, they end up not really doing well. If you just look among us, many people have taken bribes and disappeared. You don't hear from them anymore. They are no longer there. Even Muna is eventually dead. Even the Frundi took the bribe, was dancing with Yaoundé, and he eventually died. La Republique went and celebrated his funeral in his company with the army. All of these people, they will go. The land will remain. Our people will remain. All of our people are not going to die. And eventually, the change will come. I know I had mentioned in some previous programs what I think about their flag that testifies what is going to happen. We are going to accomplish our goal and go into our true identity and actualize our nation. So let us not be afraid or frightened. All these people that are causing trouble, I don't know whether they're working with La Republique knowingly or unknowingly. I wouldn't be surprised if La République is working with them. I would not be surprised.
Mhm.
I need to be. They need to prove to me that they are not working with La République. That's how I will put it.
And the other way to prove that they're not working with La Republic is to show us what they're doing to get us to Boya. If we don't see that day in, day out, months go by, years go by, and some of these individuals have just disappeared in this journey. They have just disappeared. Or they may be working in the background to make things more difficult for us. If we don't see positive actions on their part, then there's only one way to read it. Either they've just taken something and decided to shut their mouth, or they're doing something that is detrimental to us. My final question, because I'm going to end right now, is you probably already answered it. The hope for our future with this corruption. Is there hope for us with all this level of
I just mentioned.
corruption?
Remember, the French are the primary movers, the momentum behind all what is happening in La République du Cameroon. And it's not just the French. Remember, we talked about the imperialists. We've talked about before about how the imperialists are enslaving the Africans and causing the political leaders through bribery and corruption to carry away all the resources to Switzerland and Western banks. Okay? They are going to lose it. It is just a matter of time. You don't only see the French losing it in the Sahel region and other parts of Africa, but demographically, their population is reducing, and they are doing everything possible to reduce our own population. But at the end of the day, they will lose it, and they will no longer be in control, and we will acquire our freedom and independence. I believe that so strongly, and that's why I do the things that I do. That's going to happen. Yes, those powerful nations, more powerful than La République, that are using La République, they will lose it.
All right, thank you so much. I just want the both of you to just give you a quick closing comment while so that we can end the program today. Start with you, Dr. Yaya, and then Dr. Lubadi. Then we'll conclude after I say a brief word.
Yes, thank you, Mape. It was a joy being here with Dr. Lubati and with our Ambazonian people. So I just want to say, in all of this, whatever is going on right now, the kerfuffle and the disruptions or distractions, I may say, in as much as some of us are really bitter, let's not lose hope. Do not despair. I still have, like Dr. Lubati is saying, I am confident that Ambazonia shall be free one day. All these people who do these things, they are not ignorant of what they are doing, and they shall end up isolating themselves. And I also wish that Ambazonians should isolate these people who distract us. We have had enough. They have taken enough of our attention. It's been months of almost paralysis because of these distractions. Let us ignore these people, isolate them, and they will feel lonely, because when we grant them the access, we grant them the stage, an audience, they continue to play, and then we are actually playing into their vices, right? Into what they want us to do, to hold us stopped and stuck in one position, and for them to actually direct our struggle. That's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen so long as this is still called a revolution. So please do not lose hope. The power is in your hand, in you and my hand. When we identify these people, let us isolate them. We've given them enough time to play their drama, and do not lose hope. Let us show them that it is Boya that is our focus. It is not an individual. We did not come here to create personality cults, So what our focus should be is what will take us to Boya. And those activities are drafting. They are drafting, supporting your federal draft, drafting for the federal government, drafting for your county, being active in your local government and your county, taking care of your prisoners from your county, taking care of your refugees that need special needs. I'm not saying we can do all of that. Please, we should have a checklist of what a true revolutionary should look like. It is not the person who talks the loudest. It is not the one who can insult the most. It is not the one who throws, tantrums here and there. It is not the one who bullies. Check this list. Who is doing this? It's not the one who writes the longest script. Who is drafting? Who is active in the county? Who is doing those things? Those are the characteristics of a person who is in this struggle. Anything short of that, to me, is you are either infiltrated or you are a stumbling block. But I know that Ambazonia shall be free, so do not despair. See you in the APP. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Yaya. Dr. Lobaidi, your turn.
Yeah, so basically, I will advise our people, we all have a conscience. Look back deep into you. You know what is wrong. Even when the police officer on the road stops an Okada rider and takes money, you know that is bad. It's not right. When you go to an office for a service that is rightly yours and that person is being paid and they're asking for a bribe to serve you, you know that is wrong. So we should stand for that which is true and as much as possible to do that which is right. And when you hear people that can no longer speak the truth, even if they are clergy, whether they are bishops or whatever, moderator or whatever they call themselves, if they can no longer speak the truth, know that they have been compromised. You don't have to pay attention to them. And that's all I would say, because La Republic has infiltrated. The bribery and corruption now is in broad daylight. They have bribed our chiefs in broad daylight, gathered them in one place and given them 7 million each. Then gone and bribed the clergy, the highest to the lowest, bribed them to speak on behalf of La Republic du Cameroon, on behalf of a 92-year-old person that's going to die naturally. You're wasting your time there. That one is going to die naturally. By natural cause, he's going to go. But they want to play tricks, say that he wins, and then replace him with somebody who will continue the same process on behalf of the French. And we need to not agree with that. But besides that, I know, like I mentioned, I'm sorry about this, that the flag of Cameroon is green, red, yellow, and that the green, which was the time of Ahidjo, had 2 stars, which represent the 2 states, English and French Cameroon. Then the red is Ahidjo, Bia's turn, which had only 1 state, which he is calling one and indivisible. And then after Bia, it will go over to the yellow, where the yellow, what represented the individual state disappears, because yellow, the background, you can no longer see a state. And each of us will assume our identity, and then we'll be free. So after Bia is gone, we will be free. I just want to assure our people about that, in spite of all their maneuvers and whatever the French are doing. That is my last
Okay,
word.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc. I really appreciate both of you. We talked about preventive health for 2025 today, and we talked about corruption, which is a topic that we'll probably visit from time to time. As we end this program, we need to realize that Cameroon doesn't have, the civil society is there, but they are afraid to fight this corruption. We live in the diaspora. For example, the United States of America, if something is seen and it's open, people go out on the street and they rebel. I mean, they protest, and those who are involved will be taken out of government. So that is not something that we can see happening in La Republique du Cameroon, because everybody is part of the process. They already, that is their way of doing things. However, we are on this journey to Buea because we want to make a better country for ourselves. We want Ambazonia to be the country on the hill that shines, that shows that you cannot do things the way that they've seen in the past and have a country that will thrive with such bad practices. So I want to thank everyone that has been watching us. We'll be joining the APP that is about to start, and we'll be seeing you hopefully next week. By the way, next week, I think the 7th of March is International Women's Day, or the 8th of March in International Women's Day. And we hope to have a program on Friday about topics that involve women and why Southern Cameroonian women should not really be celebrating International Women's Day with all the deaths that have taken place. Beginning 2025, we've lost quite a few people in our various counties in Ambazonia. So thank you so much for being on the horizon, the voice of the Amba woman, and we'll see you next time. God bless you all.
Fellow Ambazonians, and they talk for all people the way come up from Ambazonia, they dey inside America now, and they no get paper. The one that with the day for borders, for enter America, where they never enter. This message they come for una through the presidency for the government of Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. So I want to assure una say, make una no worry, but something that they wanna get for Sabia. Now say right now as we talk, the government of America, they try for look through the thing the way the other government be doing. So shake no day. If you be say you dey for inside America, where you be get your temporary protective status, or you know be don't get get them because it don't be extended to June. So let me say, if you dey here, you never apply for your temporary protected status, so you don't already enter for inside country. If you still apply, and one thing be say, you get for be very sure say they're not gonna move you as far as you come out for Ambazonia. But we will get problem with people the way they say they come out for Cameroon and they come out, they lie say they be Ambazonians and the day here they enjoy the temporary protected status. We will make sure say that mistake, if they correct this government correct that mistake. Now if you dey for here where you never get your temporary protected status, if it still apply temporary protected status, or if you know say you will be qualified for even ask for asylum, you still get right for apply for asylum. They never stop granting asylum. If I say make your application be on file, and they will surely send you acknowledgement receipt. That acknowledgement receipt to go keep you, as a legal person for America, or you go straight for the temporary protected status, where it still be guaranteed up to June because they never cancel it. But if you did for that side for border where you never enter, and because they don't close the border, Mexico don't send soldier them for borders. America don't send soldier them. That means say they don't tell na say na remain for that side for Mexico till further notice. Just stay for the no worry. If you know say true, you be Ambazonian, and we know you for this government. No worry. If you dey for that side, no worry. Just be for the die hard before the vote. People the way they feel pray, just continue for pray, because we the work on the ground. We'll be silent for media, but it not because we the work. We'll try for do everything for say make we protect our people. We'll make sure say we be understood. We will make sure say we also work for make sure say by that June, where they go to extend this temporary protected status for our people, they not get for include people the way they come out for La Republic. Anywhere within La Republic, where they not come out from southern Cameroon, where they not be Ambazonians. Because we know from the beginning, say this temporary protected status, this TPS, it will be primarily now for our people. The people them like as usual, Republicans, they don't jump, come here. Yeah, talk all like them. They claim the TOA be our own. We will make sure say under this government, that one is stopped. That one will stop. Now, if you be say you be Ambazonian, you find yourself for that kind of situation where you need help. You don't know what for do. You don't know what for how for go about what we get for do. My advice for you now say contact your local government chairman or your county chair or any executive where you see them for ABC all time. Where you know say this one now people then for this government. Contact the person so that it will help you forget your local government on your county chair. Now that county chair and the local government will contact we for the presidency. They will contact we for inside the presidency so that we will see what we will do. If nothing will fit help for now. But I want to assure all Ambazonians in America and at home, say we dey for the matter, for make sure say Ambazonians, they don't suffer for any way where we get the power for do it. So may wanna just sit down quiet and continue for pray, because for this window we'll get them. Now we are time for freedom. Now you don't reach so. So the message that was say make you pass this message across. If you get anybody where you there for that difficult situation, may you know what you for do now, and make you know say with the work. Even people the way they be there for different program the way they be the wait. So when they don't even buy ticket for different part of the world. Program they do they be there for bring people them for here for America. But they don't stop them temporarily. Make una no worry any place on a day. No, na just tie heart, because with the work, with the do what we will get for do for make sure say we no remain for that place.